Hello, my name is Diane and I'm an admissions representative with Kansas State University Online. I want to start by thanking everyone for joining us tonight to learn more about our academic advising programs. I'm joined by Associate Professors Dr. Lisa Rubin and Dr. Craig McGill and Program Associate Dr. Amy Levine-Plattner. Dr. Rubin and Dr. McGill are going to spend roughly the next 30 minutes giving us a presentation about the program, and we'll spend the last 10 to 15 minutes answering questions. Throughout the duration of the presentation, we will be monitoring the chat feature and answering questions as they're being asked. Some of your questions may be saved until the end for Dr. Rubin and Dr. McGill to answer. And if you could take a few minutes to answer the question you see on your screen, as we would love to learn more about you. I'll give you a minute to do so now. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. Rubin and Dr. McGill.
Happy to have you all with us this afternoon, this evening, or this morning, depending on where you are joining us from. So I'm Craig McGill. I'm actually an assistant professor, still earning tenure right now. But thanks again. If you want to advance to the next slide here. So I'm going to start by talking about our graduate certificate and our Master's of Science program in academic advising, and then I'll pass it on to Dr. Rubin to talk about the PhD program. So this is just an overview of, if you want to go back 2 slides real quick, just an overview of the one more back, sorry. This is just an overview of the 3 programs. As you can see, the graduate certificate started in 2003. So we've been going a strong 20 years at this point. The Master's of Science was offered in 2008. And then the first cohort for the PhD program in academic advising was 2020. We have 2 cohorts in progress right now, and we're currently recruiting for our 3rd one. So next slide. So I'll first start by talking about the graduate certificate in academic advising. Next slide. So this consists of 5 graduate courses. So these courses these 5 are required: learning principles, foundations of academic advising, student development theory, multicultural aspects of academic advising, and trends in career development. These courses can be taken in any sequence, and depending on what else you have going on in your life, some students will take 2 a semester, some just 1, or some 3. So it's pretty straightforward, just these 5 courses for the graduate certificate. Next slide. So the Master's of Science in Academic Advising builds on the Graduate Certificate in Academic Advising. And as I mentioned, this was started in 2008. Next slide, please. So in addition to these 5 courses for the Graduate Certificate, you take 5 more courses, plus there is a final project involved for this. So in addition to the courses I mentioned, you take Research Methods in Education, Interpersonal Relations in Academic Advising, college student athletes, challenging me here, college students with special needs, and then 1 restricted elective from this list. So either history and philosophy in higher education, assessment of academic advising, and current issues in intercollegiate athletics. Although there is no official prescribed order, we do recommend Research Methods in Education and Foundations of Academic Advising to be taken early on in the program, because they kind of form a foundation for what's to come in the rest of the courses. And in addition to that, the only official prerequisite we have is that EdCep 816, Research Methods in Education, is a prerequisite for the assessment of academic advising. And then you also have a final project, which consists of either responding to case studies, kind of doing a plan for academic advising on a campus, or some alternative project that you design in consultation with your major professor. So the admission requirements for the master's degree are a bachelor's degree with a 3.0 minimum GPA in the final 2 years, or approximately the last 60 credits. But even if you don't have that, you can still reach out. You may be able to be admitted conditionally. So there are some options there. Applications are accepted year-round. So you should plan to apply within 2 to 3 months before the semester in which you hope to start the program. So the fall semester starts in August. The spring semester starts in January and the summer semester starts in May. So 2 to 3 2 to 3 months before that is when you should apply. And in the application, we would like you to include the following: a resume or a curriculum vitae, a 1 to 2 page statement about your goals and professional experiences. And you'll want to include some of the following things: what your career and professional goals and aspirations are, and how being a part of this master's program will benefit or help you to accomplish those goals and aspirations. We'd like to know more about the reason for your interest in seeking the master's in academic advising. It's important for us to see evidence of motivation, leadership, and a strong work ethic. We'd like to know about your professional experiences. You don't have to have been an advisor to apply for this. In fact, I would say at least half of our students are aspiring to be academic advisors. So there's many professional experiences or backgrounds that, there's transferable skills. So I think that's important to know. And if you are an international student, you must include a statement that you are taking all of your courses through distance education and will not come to the United States for any formal part of the coursework. And I will pass it on to Dr. Rubin now to talk about the PhD.
Thank you, Dr. McGill. So our PhD program is pretty new, as he mentioned earlier. It started in 2020, and we are recruiting for the 3rd cohort, which will begin in summer 2024. So this program focuses on preparing people for professional roles in research, leadership, and teaching, focused on academic advising and higher education. We are the only doctoral program in academic advising in the world that we're aware of, so we're very proud of that. Our program requires a minimum of 90 hours post-baccalaureate. And there might be some questions later, but we do count 30 credits of a master's degree as going towards the 90 credits. So if you have a master's degree and you apply and it's relatively applicable to this field, then it would be a 60 credit beyond the master's. And this is a sub-plan under our counseling and student development program. So the transcript would read counseling and student development. The strand is leadership and academic advising. So we can parse that out further if you have any questions about that. This program is a cohort model. So that means we admit people every 2 years in a cohort. And that's really important. It provides social support. And you have a group of people going through the program with you at the same time, same courses, same sequence. And it's really kind of a unique opportunity. Our courses are offered through K-State Online, and occasionally we have synchronous sessions via Zoom. So while it's considered a distance program, primarily we want our cohort to get together for professional development, for engagement with NACADA, the Global Community for Academic Advising, and with our faculty and staff. So we have different opportunities at times that are agreed upon by the group. So we make sure that we're not doing things while you're sleeping. We're certainly seeking people from all over the world for this. So the time zones are tricky, but we'll make it work. We have 1-week sessions on campus, the 1st and 3rd summers of the program, and then a virtual session during the 2nd year. And this is a way to get to know the cohort in person, the faculty, and then also gain access to other resources and make progress towards the goals of graduation through dissertation work. We have our cohort takes 2 classes per semester for the first 7 semesters. And that is like 6 credits or 2 classes. So if someone's working full time, it can be challenging, but the majority of our cohorts have been working full time and have been able to do this. So we're certainly, we believe that our students have the opportunity to tackle this and then earn their degrees. And then we have a preliminary examination that's completed the semester after coursework, and that sort of launches the students into their dissertation proposal stage. So as I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of special professional development sessions for our doctoral cohort. We encourage collaboration with faculty and especially the major professor or advisor that the student has. That could be research activities, presentations, those kind of things. regular interactions again with cohort colleagues, and the potential for involvement in research through the NACADA Center for Research, which is housed in our college. So if you're interested in this, there's a lot of information on the K-State Online website for this program. It does require an original scholarly essay related to academic advising as part of the application, but that's in lieu of a test score. So we don't require, as you may have noticed with the master's or certificate as well, we don't require a graduate record exam or a GRE or any other test to apply. We're more interested in your writing ability and how you think. So this gives you an opportunity to provide us some original content on something that's interesting to you about academic advising. So we are taking applications through December 1st this year. And again, this program will begin in summer 2024. So I now have a very short video that I'd like to share. I think I need to reshare though, because I always forget to check sound. So give me a moment here, I'm human. I want to make sure y'all can hear when I do that. So let's see. Now, hopefully it works because I didn't see that option. So Christy Laxwalker is an academic advisor at Notre Dame. She completed our master's program online, and she also is in our doctoral cohort. That is the one that started in 2022. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video. If any of my panelists say they can't hear sound, then I'll troubleshoot, but appreciate everybody's help here.
I can't hear Lisa.
All right, I will figure this out hopefully in just a second. Got it. Okay, I found the button. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
For students that are wondering, what's their next step? For me, it took a lot of years to determine that. And I finally figured out, I'm researching careers and I'm doing this and looking into development for students. And this was the answer to what it was. Every time I wanted to know something, I sent an email. And really that was really one of the driving forces as to why I decided to attend, because it was just such, it was really personal and they really cared. I'm the type of person that likes to be in the class with the professor up front, and I actually really feel like I had that experience with the global campus. I know several of my professors and I feel the real connection with them. So the global experience for me has been really almost better than in the classroom because there was so much contact. I feel that it's really been, I've been part of the family. I want to get as much academic advising experience as possible. I really enjoy student development, and that was a big part of our program. So lots of our classes really focus on theory and development. And for me, that was important because it lets you get to the heart of the student. One of the things that I was able to do that I really like is attend the NACADA conference. So I met several of my professors there, really made connections there. On campus, because I was in the program, I was also able to create and work with one of our provosts to actually do an assistantship in academic advising. Halfway through the program, my father passed away. And I needed some time, and he gave me the time that I needed. For some, they might have stopped and taken a break. And because of their care, because he really just allowed me what I needed. And so I didn't stop, I kept going and I finished. And so for me, that said a lot. It said a lot about who they are as just a family, as Kansas State, and how much they care about their students. There can be challenging times. And so just the fact that they made sure that I had everything I needed all the time. I think because of that and their partnership, even with NACADA, really makes it something that students love. And so this distance education at a just a world-renowned university, for me, highly respected. You can't get much better at all.
Thank you so much for dealing with my technical difficulties. I am just going to share some different contacts. We have lots of time for Q&A, so don't go anywhere. But if you want to take down some information, so anybody in our department, including Amy, who's on here, can answer questions. I know we don't have her email, but all of us support the program, all the faculty and staff in our department that are affiliated with advising. So even though we're sort of parsed out here by who will answer questions for what, we're all happy to answer questions about any of the programs if you contact us. Now, Dr. Kraft, who's listed on here, is our department head. She was unable to be here tonight, but he can answer all the admissions questions best for certificate and master's. So if you have any admissions questions, please feel free to contact her, especially if you're not sure about the GPA or something like that. But all of us are very happy to make sure you get what you need. So if you go to online.k-state.edu, you can find information on applications. You can also find information on each of these programs. They have a very nice, colorful, graphical way to search academic advising and then see each program. It has the curriculum, admissions information, and other information that may be beneficial to you. And the doctoral program page, we just had our frequently asked questions document updated, and so everything on there is up to date. For this one, I don't believe we have a recording made, but again, you just contact us with any questions that you have about anything. So here's Amy's email. So now you can snatch it and you can contact any of us. I will say my phone number, I think we're getting rid of my phone, so don't call me. Email is great. You can contact us anytime via email. And Diane, also here with K-State Online Admissions, is happy to answer questions about their process as well. And so now I will go ahead and open it up for questions, and you're welcome to put it in the Q&A feature, and then we will answer all the questions you have. Oh, we have some really good questions. If we're reading. Okay, excellent. Okay, I'm going to start with a question about quarter versus semester systems. That's a really good question. For a full-time distance student in the graduate program, you would need to be enrolled in 9 credit hours. Our financial aid office, when graduate students apply, will generally make a package based on a 6 credit hour or part-time enrollment. So that's you have to have at least 6 credit hours to qualify for partial financial aid, but 6 credit hours, if you're a graduate assistant physically at our campus, is considered full-time. But if you're not working at K-State as a graduate assistant, then 9 credit hours is considered full-time. So that's 3 classes at 3 credit hours each. So hopefully that is clear for you, Brogan. And Dr. McGill, feel free to jump in if you have any questions.
Yeah, I tried to type an answer. I pressed the wrong button. So Trina Lee, I'll answer live. Most of our classes are offered all 3 semesters. I think, Dr. Rubin, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only ones that aren't are the electives, right?
Right now, the interpersonal relations class is not offered in the spring semesters.
Okay.
But I believe now the students with disabilities is every semester because it's being offered this fall for the first time. And the multicultural class is fall and spring only. So that's not in summer, but I think everything else that's required is every semester, all 3.
Awesome.
A great question. And then in the chat, we don't have like a max or minimum number of students that we are looking for. This program is the master's is the largest of the 3 programs in terms of enrollment. So if you meet the standard, the 3.0 in the last 60 hours, you'll be admitted. Whereas like the doctoral program is a little more difficult because we're trying to find a small pool of people to work together in the cohort. So if you meet our standard for masters, you are going to be joining us, hopefully. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, we have a lot of good questions. I want to get to this big list here. What benefits do students get out of the master's program they wouldn't just get out of the certificate? That's a good question. So a lot of people who do the certificate are already may have a master's in higher education or something completely outside of advising. If you study biology and you're an advisor for STEM students and you want to have some advising knowledge, student development theory knowledge, some people pursue the certificate only, and that's totally fine. If you're looking for a position in advising, they don't always require, but they tend to want a master's as a minimum. So a lot of people, if you do the certificate, you're halfway done with the master's. So they'll start with that, they'll get that credential, and then they're already in a position, it's a little bit easier. But if they're seeking a position, it's just 5 more classes and the project, and then they can have the master's. So I've seen people do our program as a second master's. I'm not necessarily pushing people that way. If you already have a comparable, like an educator background, that may not be necessary. But there's some more specialty courses in that second half of the program. So it's just, matter if it interests you and you find the investment worth it. But, certificate is also great. So if you want to pursue that, I encourage that. How long does completing the program take? It's a good question. So if you're doing the certificate, that's 5 classes. So it could be 5 semesters if you did one at a time, if that works for someone who's working full-time or is raising a family or has other life responsibilities. If you take 3 classes and 2 classes, you can be done in 9 months. So that's a possibility. If you are doing the master's program, it's the same kind of thing. A lot of people in our program are part-time students. We're not pushy either way. If you want to take a class and then take 2 classes and go back to 1 class, take 3, like it's up to you. We want you going at your best pace for you. And I won't lie, like during the pandemic, it was extremely difficult. We have a lot of people in our program who work in K-12 education, and they had children at home who were also doing online education, and they just said, I need a break. So we've had people take a semester off and come back, and your record stays active in our system for 2 years. So if you took a break and came back a year later, you can just keep going. You don't have to reapply. And so we wanted to be like best for every student, like whatever the schedule is that's going to fit your lifestyle. And so it can be the fastest I've ever seen someone do the master's was 9 months. They did 5 classes, 5 in a project, and graduate. And I thought that was crazy. They were not working at the time though. So maybe, with depending on your home life and whatever, but I've had students do it in a calendar year, January to December. That's still pretty intense because if you do the math, you're taking 3, 3, and 4. And I think 3 classes in the accelerated summer is very tough, and 4 in a regular semester is very tough. So I'd say 1.5 to 2 years for the master's is more realistic. And then the doctoral program, so we do coursework for 2.5 years, and then an exam that takes, people can choose the time they take, that time frame they take it, but it's, it's about 6 months prep and exam, and then a dissertation, which can be a year, 1.5, 2 years. It sort of depends on a lot of factors. So hopefully that answers the time question. And Dr. McGill, you're welcome to take, maybe you want to answer about.
You're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Feel free, just jump in. Synchronous sessions for certificate and master's, most likely no. In the certificate and master's, we have students from all over the world, and people are not going to want to meet at 4 a.m. in Singapore when it's 2 p.m. here or whatever. So those classes are asynchronous. Now they might have optional Zooms to get to know your professor, or it's like help me with this project at the end, I don't understand kind of stuff. But those tend to be nice and on your schedule, on your pace, with some deadlines, but like with time to do all the work on your own time. So that's a really good question. Workload, does it compare to undergrad, or how does it compare to undergrad? I'd say in grad level, and it's a graduate certificate, so the grad level is going to be probably a little bit more reading than the undergraduate level. But we know our students work full time or are doing other things and having life. So I think you'll find something reasonable, and that we're not trying to have you drowning in books, every day. But we want people to get like a high level of knowledge and like quality education. So for example, when you take a summer class, it's accelerated, but you're supposed to get the same quality that you get in a 16-week full semester course. So that means it's going to be a little bit more reading and writing in 8 weeks than it would be in 16. But again, with the knowledge that you're also a human who's doing a lot of stuff. So we want to make sure that it's going to work for your schedule and not be unreasonable, especially if you're taking more than one class, because we do, many students are. Not a lot of exams to my knowledge. I think maybe a few like research methods has maybe multiple choice tests. That may be the only one that I'm aware of. Everything else is writing assignments, projects, or something like that. Every professor is different, so I can't say for sure what others do, but I know that we all like writing more than exams from what from what I've heard. Can you apply to any programs before you graduate from the undergraduate program? I believe, leading up to your graduation for the bachelor's, you can apply for the certificate and master's program. And once you're admitted, you're required to send your final transcript from the institution before the semester begins that you enrolled in. Dr. McGill, did you have an
No,
add-on?
I was reading Brogan's question.
Tuition. Okay, I'm gonna get that while you answer. Brogan.
Yeah, Brogan, you would correct me if I'm wrong, Diane, but Brogan, you'd have to apply for the master's program because the graduate certificate isn't a degree, but all the classes would count for it. So
You're correct, Dr. McGill. If you apply to the master's program and decide to pursue the graduate certificate, that's totally doable. You don't have to reapply. You just have to let your advisor know to add the certificate, but you can't kind of do it vice versa. If you apply to the graduate certificate first and decide to pursue the master's degree afterwards, you would have to reapply.
Okay, Trina Lee, I'm getting your question. So when we have online, it costs less than an out-of-state tuition student would be on campus. So that's really good. And I'm just gonna get you the graduate rate. So 1 credit hour for graduate students online is $510.60. And that's when College of Ed, we don't have any additional fees for students. All the other colleges, I think, do. So we know because we're education. We're humble here. We're not millionaires. So that would be one class, approximately $1,500 for 3 credits. Hopefully that answers your question. But what I will do is I will paste that in the chat if I can.
yeah, approximately 15,000 total.
That is the calculator, and you can play around with it. I just picked 1 credit, but you can play around with that. Just select graduate and Manhattan online, and that will be a good way to work on that. And then, okay, so we have, can you take a few classes without pursuing the certificate? Yes. So Nana, you can apply as a non-degree seeking student and just take classes that way. And then if you'd like, then you can apply for the certificate. But what I will say is this: if you're kind of thinking about the certificate and you just apply for that, since you're probably paying a fee either way, and you can take a couple classes and then like take 2 years off and then come back and like finish it. It's online, so you don't have to come here and do anything. So I would say if you're thinking about it, or maybe after you take 1 class, you're like, yeah, I think I'll just keep going. Like you could do that.
I believe there's also a financial aid consideration. Correct me if I'm wrong, but degree seeking, you get financial aid, and for grad certificate, you don't. So is that accurate?
That sounds right to me. Yeah.
So if you're thinking about both, maybe you might apply for the master's and then do all the certificate courses first. Just a thought.
Yeah, it's a good thought. Another good question. So on financial aid and scholarship. So applicants automatically considered for merit? Not through K-State Online. They actually have their own scholarships you can apply for every semester. So I can also get that link in here too. And we do get a lot of our students in the College of Ed get those. We just have to apply. And so here is that. And the other question was about average financial aid packages. That is really, there's probably no way to answer that because a lot of students do 6 credits or part-time enrollment. And then it also depends on financial need based on the FAFSA application, which is a personal submission. But I haven't had any negative feedback from my students. I don't think that helps too much with the answer, but you can always contact our financial aid office and let them know, I'm planning to take 6 credits or 9 credits. I just don't think that you can qualify for aid if you take 3, from what I understand, or maybe it's very little aid, but we do have wonderful people in that area who can answer those questions. These are really good questions. So we really appreciate all of the thoughtfulness you have put into this. And it's a big decision to do graduate work and continue school. So we know it's really important that we get all your questions answered, and we're doing really well on time. So feel free to keep rolling with questions. Or if anyone has questions about NACADA, we can also do our best to answer them. We're involved in NACADA. They're part of our college. They're headquartered here at Kansas State, and a lot of the executive office members teach in our program. So when you saw Dr. Troxell's name on our email contact list, she is the acting director of NACADA right now. We have hired a new executive director that starts August 1st. So she's holding the fort down till then. And she teaches the assessment class and the interpersonal class. We have several associate directors and other staff there that teach in our program. So you do really get to engage with some of the leaders in the field as your faculty, and that's pretty hard to beat. And I'm just lucky they're my colleagues too. So
we have a question about experience. And I would just say that we're interested in all experiences. The main thing is to indicate why you're interested in academic advising. It could be that you had a good experience as an undergraduate in advising, and now you've gone off into the private sector, but you really want to come back to higher ed, and so we value different skills and experiences. So yeah, just the main thing is to really make it clear why academic advising is of interest to you and how this is going to help you pursue your career goals.
what else can we answer for you? I will say, because he's probably being humble here, but Dr. McGill is the first person probably in the world hired to be faculty in academic advising. So he is truly an expert and has written many publications in this field, books and articles and research. So he's a really great person. A lot of our students come, I think, to learn with him. So
another way of saying that is I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
yes, and we have a question coming. Yay. All right. Are you allowed to apply this for this fall but not start until fall 2024? I would wait if you can till the semester you apply for. We have had people defer admission, but usually it's like the following semester if something came up. But it's a little easier, I was going to say paperwork, but electronically to try to apply as close to when you want to start as possible, because we do have the rolling admission for certificate and master's. So we've had people apply in July and start in August. Like, yeah, we know we said 2 to 3 months, but we're pretty flexible if we can make it work, because if it's going to work for you, then that's what's best for you, and that we'll try to make it happen. And that's Dr. Kraft's wizardry in the department office. So, as Amy can attest to, she's worked very closely with her for the past year. I'll let y'all give me a couple more questions and then we can wrap it up. But I want to make sure while we are here for you and that you took the time and whatever time zone you're in to be here, we really appreciate it. All right, so yes, great question. So the certificate program is 15 credits, which is 5 courses that are 3 credits each. And it depends how many you take for how long it will take. So I think I gave the example that you could take 1 class at a time, and that would be 5 semesters, or you could take, 3 and 2, and that would be 2 semesters. So it really depends on your lifestyle and what works best for you. If you do the master's program, that's 10 classes or 30 credits. So we've had people, I think I said the one person I ever saw do it in 2 semesters, 9 months. I would not recommend that. It's a little crazy. Anywhere from 1 calendar year to 2 to, I just actually, in May, we had commencement, and one of my advisees, it took her 5 years, but she came to graduation. She had a lot of challenges, moves, job changes, life things, and she persevered. So we don't consider it a race. We want you to go at the pace that's best for you. So if you do the certificate, you're halfway through the master's. So you may start there and then decide to continue in the master's later. We've seen that with a lot of our students. But the certificate may just be all that you need for your professional development or for your advancing in your career. So that is one option. And then the master's, again, I think I mentioned way long at the beginning, it's one of our bigger programs. Most of the students in there are at all sorts of parts in their or points in their life. So we have anyone from someone who just graduated from college to grandma of 6. We've had everything in between, people who are working already in higher education, people who work in completely different fields in education, K-12 educators, full-time parents, and all sorts of walks of life. So it's a really cool program because everyone you interact with in your classes has such a different experience. And to me, that's like the best part about teaching is learning from my students. So I think that's the best mix.
And from different countries too, which is, I love hearing how differences in higher education systems. In the fall semester, I had a student in Japan, a student in Canada, student in the Middle East. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's so cool too. So that is, I think the best thing about being in the program is you're going to be with someone from anywhere, and you'll learn so much and share so much from your experience because it's so different. And everyone's life experience, even if you haven't worked in advising, is going to be relevant to helping students who have different backgrounds. And Amy is being very generous, giving her email again, and you can ask her any questions as well. And she is a wealth of knowledge for our department and the college. So please feel free, again, you can contact any of us as well. And we'll be very happy.
I'd also like to add that it's not hands-off just because it's online. I know we've said that about about course professors, but all of us advise our master students and we meet with them regularly. So it's not like you're kind of on there doing it all yourself without any communication from faculty. We actually, I don't know about you, Dr. Rubin, but that's my favorite part of my job is meeting with students and talking about what they want to do. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Sometimes like the optional Zooms aren't popular because I'm probably like right now, you're probably tired of staring at the screen, but I want students to contact me and engage even outside the classroom with the topic, get involved in research projects if they want, go to meet us at conferences. And I just got back yesterday from the athletic advising conference, and that's my area of specialization. And I saw 4 of my former K-State students who were thriving in their careers and advising in different universities. And it was like the best thing about that conference for me, and just seeing them succeed and be recognized for their excellence. And that's just, and some of them were distance students. So like a few were local, but a lot of them I met online in my class. And then now, we're colleagues, and I really respect their work and what they're doing, and I could see other people do as well. So that was amazing for me. Any last questions? Oh, we really appreciate all of you for taking the time to be here this evening, and I will turn it back to Diane.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Rubin and Dr. McGill, for that wonderful presentation. And I also want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. If you are ready to apply, please visit our website at online.ksu.edu and select how to apply for detailed instructions. As a reminder, everyone who has registered for this webinar will be receiving a recording via email as soon as it's available. And if you did have additional questions that we didn't cover tonight, please don't hesitate to reach out. We also wanted to let everyone know that we do have application fee waivers available to those who have attended this live lecture and are applying for the master's degree for the upcoming fall semester. So feel free to reach out to us at online@ksu.edu when you are ready to apply, and we'd be happy to provide you with a waiver. Thanks again and have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.